and then
Yeah,
we can jump back into it.
we'll dive into it. So, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning to some. Welcome to today's webinar. Today's topic is going to revolve around HIPAA compliance and incident response and why employee training is key. I'm Raymond Walters. I'll be your host for today's session. I'm also joined by my co-host, Jose Delgado. For those that have been tuning in, or maybe those that are tuning in for the first time, Jose has 20 plus years of experience in healthcare consulting, currently owns a mental telehealth clinic. And today we're joined by a special guest, and Epi compliance partner of ours, Mr. Ric Acevedo with uh, iTechPlus. And just to give a little bit of background of Ric, and Ric, I'll let you sort of spin off from here. But Ric's an experienced IT professional and founder of iTechPlus. Ric has over a decade of experience in optimizing IT management and improving cybersecurity across various industries. His expertise spans from cloud engineering, systems administration, and strategic integration of technology to help businesses of all sizes streamline operations and enhance security. Ric, did I miss anything?
Oh, thank you so much for that, and thank you, Jose. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys today. I'm honored. Yeah, I feel blessed to be here and to have this experience with you guys and be able to get the news out to our audience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and like what we were talking about just before Ray in the intro, we were talking about IT. We were talking about cost. We were talking about complexity and passwords, and you were just referring to how we're moving. IT was a Robin to the Batman, but now is much more in the front in regards to security. Um, I'm pretty certain everybody that watches us knows that a more complex company can really have the resources to invest to make sure that they're secure, to make sure, things are cleaned up on a regular basis. How can we help organizations that don't have those kinds of resources?
We can help them just like this. Just give them the information they need, the tips. Orient them. Give them
Yeah.
the tools that they need. A lot of the stuff that we do. Um, Coming from somebody who's been doing it for a long time, it doesn't seem hard, but it's in some cases common sense, right? It's like when you leave the door, you leave your house to go to work. You got to make sure you lock the door
Yep.
before you leave to
Yep.
work. So a lot of these things are practical. It's sometimes it's just good to have good knowledge of these things and check them off, man. That's the best way to go.
So when I know that, and we're going to be leaning into that towards that training side of things and the human element of everything. Do you see a heavy investment on VPNs with smaller to medium-sized practices?
VPNs are still a thing. Yes, we use them for everything. I mean, why
But I just
not?
don't know, like, how
Great
is
for
it something
networking.
to, hey, if I'm mobile, I'm using them all the time, I should look into one? Is it something that I should go to my IT guy for their preferred VPN? Do they all work the same? Everybody's got a podcast or a YouTuber selling one, you know?
Actually, you want to go to the right person for a VPN. You don't really want to put your stuff out there on a public VPN. A private solution is always better, right? You're the one that's managing that traffic, or your IT person might be the person managing that traffic. But putting anything over public VPN right now, no, I don't recommend that in any way. Private VPNs, yes, we
What would
use
you
them.
Yeah, what would you consider a public versus a private VPN? Because I mean, we're reaching the limit of
Yes.
my tech literacy right
Well,
now.
that's a great question. Great question. So public VPN would be something like what you can buy offline, right? You just type in VPN and you're going to
Okay.
have big providers out there offering services all around the world. But guess what? You're not the only one that's on that server. There's hundreds
Okay.
of other people, including, criminal agents that are trying to get into your data, trying to get into your information. So when we're talking private side, that means you have systems that are managed by someone that you trust. For
Okay.
example, in this case, you could bring me on and I can be your guy that, helps you manage that type of system. And that brings
Okay.
down the risks of of running into, issues stealing your information, for example.
Yep. 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 Um, I know that a lot of companies now with the EHRs and their servers are cloud-based. Everything's cloud-based now, right? Most people don't have a server on site anymore. Are you talking about that this VPN setup, this, for lack of a better term, the commercial setup, would it be attached to our own 365 or our own actual server stack? How does that, what do you mean
Well,
by
the way
that?
things are going these days is pretty much okay. So it all depends who manages it and how do they manage it, right? Again, we're going back to the public side. You don't want to have anything business on a public VPN for no reason. And then on the private side, yeah, you can integrate all those parts that you're talking about. Microsoft Office 365, Google, your the router at your office, the guy that's working in the field remotely, the mobile devices.
Yeah.
There's software out there that's available to us to be able to manage all these systems, right?
Okay.
So in
How
some
does
cases, and let me
yeah,
before
yeah,
you
yeah.
go move on. I'm sorry. We're talking to the business owner who doesn't have the big bucks to make it run. There's
Yeah.
software out there that's free that can do this
Okay.
for you. But again, it's going to come down to how do you know how to use the software? You're going to need somebody
Free
to
has its
help
own
you put
costs.
these things in place. Exactly. But the tools are there.
Okay. Okay. So now with multi-factor authentication, something that we were just talking about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, how does that work with a VPN? It would basically force me to do it all the time, right? Because the way that,
Not necessarily. Well,
okay.
what happens with the VPN is that you create a virtual network. And that
Okay.
network is managed by your IT team.
Okay.
And they're within that ecosystem, within that environment, there's already tools that are managing or monitoring continuously. In that case, there's these sensors out there that are looking for this malicious intent. And
Okay.
if it's put in place correctly, it will alert the right people, right? But
Got
if you
it.
don't have anybody there on the other end, it's there's nothing's going to happen, right? You just have a
Yep.
system that alerts you.
Interesting, because then, all right, maybe I'm completely misunderstanding how a VPN works then. Maybe I'm watching too many crime procedurals because I thought of what a VPN does is it changes my IP address.
Correct. And that's
Okay,
true.
but then usually, like for example, we're switching over to Athena in my practice right now, and they're instituting multi-factor authentication. And one of my questions to them was, okay, is this going to be IP based? Is this time based? Is this every single time I log into the same computer? Like, How is this going to work? And the way it's set up is by IP. If it
Right.
doesn't
And that's
recognize the
policy.
IP, it sends you the multi-factor.
Correct. And that's an IT policy. And
Yeah.
that's the thing about managing systems because they have a tool, right? They have a
Yep.
specific tool that they can configure policy to customize your type of environment. So
But then
that's
wouldn't the VPN every time I used it change where my IP is? So it
well
looked like a
well
different
well
IP every time I was logging in?
Well, if you're on a public VPN, yes, your
Okay.
VPN might revolve. It might be changing all the time. But
Yeah.
if you're on a private one, you stay on the same you stay on the same IP because the whole thing about it, the VPN is a deflector. What it's really doing is holding back your real IP, but all the attacks are going to go to that front, right? A VPN is
Yeah.
like a front man, and he's taking all the shots, but it's never going to get to you. It ends there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Because
it's
I
like an
guess I
offset.
visualized it like a Find the Queen. You know what I mean? Like that's how I had
Well,
visualized it. It plays Find the
well,
Queen with
no.
my IP.
Well, it's more like a moat.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
attack comes directly in and poof to the moat, and then behind there you have big gates, right?
Perfect. Okay.
It's all going to depend about how it's set up.
Yeah. Okay.
It's good to know.
All right.
Yeah.
So then when it comes to the labor side of things, right? You've got the management side and then you've got the end user side, right? Management looks at it like what we were just talking about. Man, you want me to buy new devices every year and a half? I don't even have enough time to deduct this from my taxes before I gotta buy new ones.
Right.
Like we, so there's how does a small practice deal with that, right? Because if you're looking at a small practice, maybe 4 exam rooms, 7 employees, 2 providers, probably talking maybe 10 devices that are being used. And those 10 aren't being used all the time, mind you, but 10 devices overall. Is that still something that you recommend every 2 years, or is it a hey, you buy
No,
something crappy and just fast because
never.
everything's
Never that.
never?
You want to get the best of the best. It's not you don't want to settle for just enough. You want to have the potential to scale. So if right now if you always want to get a little bit more than what you need. For example, so the life cycle of most systems is 5 years. So you don't,
Okay.
it's really not, I mean, in terms of iPhones and stuff like that,
Yeah,
those are
yeah,
consumer products and you know, they want to sell them all the time. But when it
yeah.
comes to business systems, well, no, there's a life cycle and it's recommended that all systems be replaced at 5 years, right? They lose support. You can no longer update. Kind of like the same
Okay.
thing with operating systems. Like, for example, Microsoft is rolling out the end of Windows 10. And it just feels like
Yes.
it came out the other day. It's
Yeah,
insane,
it
right?
does. It does. It really does
Is
on
it
that one.
bad
That
that
one
I
I'm like,
still use it? I
Uh,
mean,
you sound like a Mac guy to me.
I
Are you a Mac? Like these
I
are,
prefer Windows 10. I don't know if I
yeah.
like the latest. I
Well,
don't.
listen, it took me almost a year to make the jump. It's Windows
yeah.
11 is it's on the administrative side, it's kind of hard,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
For the older guys that don't stay up to date on their technology, they'll struggle, right?
Yes.
But but if you're living this life every day for the last 20 years and you don't because you don't settle, yeah,
Yeah.
you'll pick up quick. It's not
It
hard.
was
See.
it was a pain for me from the traditional Windows to the app-based style of Windows.
Right.
That one, it is what you're talking about. It took me six to
That
eight
was
months to be
huge.
comfortable with it, and I still get annoyed. I'm like, where's Microsoft Word? I use this all the time,
Yes.
and I gotta look for it in random. It's a whole
You
thing.
gotta search. You
Well, let me
gotta
t
pull it up on a search now. It's nuts.
You're right.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
it's going to come down to how the system is managed. It 100% Microsoft is built for the administrator. The
Yeah.
administrator is the one who's going to build out a plan for you, a strategy on how to manage these devices and how to be able to deploy and onboard and offboard because there's always a cycle of equipment and software that's moving in an office. So a lot of
Yeah.
business owners forget that and they want to be able to manage it all. And at the end, what they have is a huge mess. And it's costing
Yes.
them more than what it costs to have somebody to come in and take care of it for them.
So
Absolutely.
there's
Absolutely.
lot of practices out there that aren't even keeping inventory of these things, really.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
and
they're
that was going to
not.
be my next thing, right? Like I've been experiencing recently that quite a few IT companies have been lackadaisical at best, if not just outright negligent in keeping track of an inventory of a client.
Jose,
And
this
I'm
is
trying to figure out how they charge someone for MSO products like antivirus,
Right,
anti-malware, passive monitoring. Like usually that's a
right,
charge on a per device basis, right?
correct.
And I'm trying to figure out how the IT is able to stay honest when they don't have an inventory. They could
Yeah,
be
that's not
undercharging, they could be
possible.
overcharging, but how do you know if you don't have an inventory?
You can't. You have to know. I got a good. I understand my customers because we sit down and have these one-to-ones. So a lot of
Yeah,
times I know what you have. I trust me. What are we running? How many licenses? And if I don't, my guy that's at the help desk,
yeah,
he knows. So we're able to jump on that stuff immediately. And you're right. That's nowadays everything is based on user or
yeah,
device.
yes,
Right.
yes,
A lot of companies do that. They will I hate to say it, but they'll nickel and dime you.
yeah,
You know, they
yeah. I
want to
mean,
make $2 off of everything they can sell. So it becomes a problem for the customer, right?
yeah.
Um but that's just my view on it. And
No, no, absolutely. That's why we have you on here. So that way, we
but
can
yeah, I'll probably get a little bit of hate for that from the guys out there that are selling a lot of service. But it's the
You're in the
truth. It's
right
just,
spot. Trust me, Rick. If you look at any of the other videos, I have
I'm
no problems with saying things that could probably be construed as controversial.
I get it. Yes.
Ask me offline sometime what I think about the healthcare exchanges. Uh, so we're seeing a lot of human element problems, not necessarily technology problems when it comes to these breaches, especially some of these bigger ones, like the Change Healthcare
Change.
one. Recently, it
Ascension.
was St. Vincent's, and it was always I hate to say it like this, but it was common sense stuff. So is there anything on the IT side that we can do to minimize the stupidity is the wrong word, but a lack of
What's the
awareness perhaps is
That
probably
would be a great way to describe it. It's the lack of awareness. In fact, I can add a little bit to that. My
yeah,
wife, she's an instructor, and she's an instructor for she does medical assisting courses, and they talk about a little bit about everything except to the point where how do you protect your patient's data?
yeah,
That's that not once. I mean, I've heard so many classes in the last year, and not once touches, what should you do in this case? That's basic. That should already go into their schooling before
yeah,
they come into the practice. I mean, it's not really the business of the doctor's job or the office manager's job because they should already come in knowing this stuff. Again,
yeah,
it's our job now. It's unfortunate, but it's our job to now to try to fix that problem. And
yeah.
and with the trainings is how we build that awareness.
So something I've been on about for probably this whole year, Ray. I think you'll agree with me on this. Is
Yeah.
I've had a really big I guess hard on with the aspect of human resources as being the biggest deficiency if I was to put it in a department when it comes to compliance. Because there's so many things that have to be done when we onboard somebody and when we offboard somebody that it's only natural that things fall between the cracks. And a lot of times I see that it falls between the cracks on the IT side because the HR person is usually not the IT person.
No.
Right? Like
No.
usually those are conflicting skill sets. And then the other part,
Well,
obviously, when it comes to training on compliance on what not to do with the devices, like checking your own email, your personal emails on your company device, things of that nature.
I'll go back to we talked about the inventory. From the EPI compliance side, that's something that we assist our customers with. We sort of provide a inventory form, and our compliance officers are to go in and sort of map out all the systems that they're using. But what I'm seeing is, one, there's a disconnect there, and two, there's a disconnect with their IT company. It's like they don't know that, hey, this has to be done.
I want to say that's irresponsible on the IT side, and I'm coming from a business owner. If you manage
Yep,
an IT company, you're 100% liable for the information that's it's in that office, right? Especially, let's say I'm working for you guys,
yep,
and something happens because I didn't do my job.
yep,
I'm liable. Same thing
yeah.
goes for any IT company.
So now that you've put your foot in your mouth, I'm going to press you on this one for a hot second. So, because I have seen lately that there have been several breaches, and if you look at the no-no list, quite a few times on the no-no list on OIG, which I don't know if you've seen this website, but this OIG has a website that has the most recent over 500 patients affected report list. And quite a few times I see that there's an IT company there, or it's an IT business associate because of a bad network patch on a server, or that the IT was involved in some capacity or other. Are you saying that you guys should have some malpractice for this kind of stuff too?
You know what? That's a good question. I don't think it could get to that point, but it lose just getting not being not doing what you're paid to do, to me in itself is a huge problem. If you're getting
Mhm.
paid, it's not doesn't mean that you can't have issues.
No,
It's
everybody
what are
has
you
issues.
right,
We seek
and that's
perfection. We're never
understandable.
perfect.
How do you respond? How do you come back from it? How you communicate? That's
Yep.
all it takes. But on the malpractice side, unfortunately, no, I don't think that'll that'll work. But
Well, I mean,
a juicy fine. I mean
everybody's
that
always
could
saying it's coming to us as the covered entity, the covered entity, the covered entity. I'm sitting here like, wait, I hired an IT company.
right.
They're the one that installed the bad software patch. Why is this coming back to me?
Right. And you might have a case against that IT company if there were some kind of because there's agreements that you sign
Yep.
before,
The business associate
before
agreement.
giving
Yep.
that service. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
it's always funny how it works out because even though the covered entity has the business associate, the federal government is still going to look at the covered entity as this was your fault because you didn't supervise the business associate well enough.
That's sad. That's
Yeah,
sad. But
absolutely. Absolutely. So I was just curious because I was like, wait a minute, you open that door, I'm gonna walk right in and see what you think on that. Uh
But there's
so
but there's huge cases where you're seeing these breaches at that level. I mean, these are highly organized groups. This isn't
mhm,
like your people out there in India, Nigeria, these countries that's what they attack. The small these guys are big.
yeah,
Sometimes they're government backed. There's
yeah.
there's a lot of
Oh
stuff
yeah.
going on in the cyber world that we're all blind to.
No, absolutely. And again, it's for everything, it's not a black or white yes or no.
Right.
There's a band here, right?
Right.
And I'm all for that because it would be irresponsible of me as if I was being just a an honest participant to expect my IT company I'm paying less than $1,000 a month to be able to go up against hacking group that has more money in one device set up to be able to run than my entire office. You know what I mean? Like I just some of these gaming laptops are $10,000. So if they're rocking 50 of these guys, and they're obviously going to be able to break in if they try hard enough.
Automated and orchestrated attacks. These guys have
Yes.
already written down these scripts and they're just
Yes.
running, looking for that vulnerability.
Absolutely. So it's the for me, it's those are the things that I cannot control as a business owner.
Right.
The only things I can control are the things that I can control, which is awareness on my team. Hey, be aware of these kinds of things. Is there,
Don't open that spam email.
Right.
I mean,
And
don't
also
open
have
personal
the right
emails at
monitoring
work.
tools.
Yeah.
Don't open
Yeah.
personal emails at work. I don't give a crap how important it is. But that is a settings issue, like Rick was talking about. On the admin side, we have to go and make sure that personal devices, personal emails are not accessible on work devices.
Right. And that
Absolutely.
would be a policy. That would be something you would have in your compliance policy as one of your on your
Yeah,
checklist
one
for
of the
how
policies,
to
yeah,
avoid.
absolutely. One
Yeah.
of the HIPAA security
I mean,
policies and the procedures that should be followed. Now, how do you deal with I'm trying to put this in an easy way. How do you deal with a lot of chefs in one kitchen, right? And here's what I mean.
oh,
If I'm working with an orthopedic, let's just use an orthopedic practice because they have everything, right? They've got printers and x-rays and MRIs and EKGs and this tool and this toy and
and
this toy.
Wi-Fi
And you're
and
trying to manage
fiber.
this network. And you've got 50 chefs on your network outside
Right.
of the regular devices of the organization. How do you manage other people's stupidity in your network?
Well, listen, since I'm liable, I'm gonna flex my technicality to them because it's gonna come back down to this guy. So
Yeah,
in my book, it's my reputation, it's my job, and sometimes they might not like it, but that's the way it needs to stand, right? And
yep,
and and and, and normally in my case, I like to stand behind the business owner because That's the person who's calling, he's the one who's making the
Yeah, he's the one
decision.
paying you. I got you. His name is on
Right.
the check.
Right, right. So but I mean, I get it. Everybody has their own opinions and all, but when it comes to bringing in a cybersecurity professional to do his job and then putting limitations, then it doesn't make sense. I'm not there to please everybody. I'm there to
Yeah,
get a job done, right? And in a lot of
Absolutely.
cases, there's networks they're just the way you're describing. They're locked down, and that's the way it
yeah,
should be.
yeah.
No
I'm
Facebook, no personal email, no personal banking. I mean, if you
no
want
personal
that,
cell phones.
I,
Jesus, no
I have,
personal cell phones.
right. I have a client that they'll have a network that's only for that purpose, outside
Yep.
of the business network.
Yep. Yep. And for smaller practices, this is easy to do. Most
Yes,
modems
Wi-Fi.
nowadays, you can split the network into two networks. It's not a big deal. You'll have a bigger problem with bandwidth down the road. But if you don't know what bandwidth is, you don't need to worry about it because you're obviously not using enough. You know what
That's a
I mean?
great,
Bandwidth
that's a
only
great,
matters when you're running out and you're like, why is this happening? You know? But if you don't know, don't worry about it. Stay ignorant, my sweet summer child, because you start going down a rabbit hole, you know?
right. That's
Uh, so how so do you Epi Compliance likes to send out a monthly newsletter. Hey, this is what's going on in compliance. This is what's going on here. We do the podcast. We like to, hey, this big breach happened. Do you think it would be a good industry practice for the IT companies to send out something like that? Like, hey, be aware of this new method of breach or this new method of hacking, or hey, everybody stop doing the Nigerian prince that will give you $10 million if you send them your social security and your banking information. And now it's your grandma calling your grandma and letting them know you got kidnapped or something, or whatever the new one is. Um, how do you recommend IT companies keep up with their clients and
Well,
train them on that?
IT companies, a lot of IT companies already do that. Unfortunately, not many that are in the same field as that are managed service providers like us. But for example, I get newsletters about all types of incidents, security
Hmm.
incidents. That's how I stay on top of things, right?
Yeah,
But it would be a great idea that more companies like managed service providers took that into practice. Especially, I mean, it doesn't really matter in what field you're in, but it does help a lot. I mean, that's what keeps us on top. We know what's
yeah.
happening, we know what's affecting, and at least it gets us it brings awareness, right?
So, so one of the reasons
I
why I
like
brought
that.
that up is because if you're an office manager on here and you're talking to your IT company and they mention something like this, just going over with your staff, hey, they moved on from the Nigerian prince and now they're saying your kid got kidnapped or something. This can be seen as HIPAA security training. All you have to
Absolutely.
do is document it and document who was there, and then boom, that's just one more thing that you've done without realizing that you did it while everybody was waiting for their lunch from the farmer wrap. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like,
It's a great idea. Great idea. In
so,
fact, you've given me a great idea. Thanks.
well, I'll be more than happy to talk about my commission structure offline. All right, Ray.
Boy, add
Come
it to
on, man,
the.
I'm hungry. So, so when it comes to acquiring new devices, I've worked with IT companies in all different fields all over the US, um, in places that are harder to acquire devices. South America, some places in Central America. Usually the IT company will be the one that procures the device and then they get it to the facility. Do you recommend that small again, we're looking at smaller, medium-sized practices because larger companies have deals with HP already and they just buy it in bulk and do whatever. But the smaller to medium-sized guys, is this something where they should go to you to get a commercial device, or is this something where, hey, Amazon Day is coming up, let me just order the 10 devices real quick on June
100%.
3rd or whatever it is?
No,
Huh?
100%. I recommend you go through your IT company. They'll ensure that you have the right equipment and prepare it for you. You don't have to worry about going spending countless hours looking for deals. Normally, we will have something in stock, or we have something that we recommend, and we procure everything for our customers. It don't matter if you're 3 or 4 employees in an office. I mean,
Yeah.
we're a one-stop shop.
Mhm.
So, but again, though, like I'm trying to look at this not just a what does Rick and iTechPlus do, but what should be an industry best practice that perhaps isn't happening right now. Because I have talked to and I'm not to disparage, but some of the smaller IT guys that it's 1 or 2 guys in a garage. The one man bands that are like, ah, you can buy whatever, and then I'll just come
I
in and
told Rick it's like the practice owner's, friend of a friend.
son-in-law or something.
Right.
Yeah,
Or a
the
student, or
problem.
sometime in some cases a student, an IT student.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, and I agree. I see what you're saying there, but generally, you want your IT to manage 100% of your systems. You're a business owner. Why do you have to deal with that? Why does your office manager have to deal with that? You should be able to hand it off. IT takes care of everything for you, especially if you're paying for an all-in-one solution. The guys that are
Yeah.
working out of their garage and they're just giving you their information, they're not 100%. It's not recommendable. I would never
Yeah.
go that route. I would never recommend anybody go that route. I
Uh,
mean, if you're in a situation where you're like really tight on budget, then maybe I can guide you a little bit. If you're up front with me or with us, then we'll
Yeah.
try to help. But it's always better to get it through your IT guy. He's gonna get
Got
you the
it.
right stuff, and then he's never gonna have a complaint when it's time to support it. Right? No,
Got it.
you bought this equipment, you bought the wrong operating system, so now you're losing time, you're losing money.
Yeah.
So that it's all going to come down to what you guys set up ahead of time. These are the systems. This is what you use. This is how we set them up. This is how we onboard. This is how we offboard. There's a lot of processes that go into it.
Okay.
I just feel like the guys that are just telling you go buy this on Amazon aren't doing it right.
Gotcha. No, no. And
Yeah.
again, and I have heard hey, those consumer devices are set up for consumer, not for commercial.
Right.
Commercial can be more robust. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't
Well, I'll give
worked
you a
with the
biggest
commercial one
example.
side by side. Go ahead.
I'll give you a huge example. You buy something at, let's say, Best Buy. It's very hard to get a Windows operating system Pro at a Best Buy versus, you get it through your
special
IT
order.
person. A lot
Yeah.
of people
Yeah.
don't know that you have to buy a Pro system. You can't buy a home system because you want it to integrate to you want it to integrate to the Microsoft cloud, right? You want to be able to
Yeah.
use OneDrive, SharePoint, all the analytic tools that they have, Teams. I mean, we're a Microsoft shop. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm really strong at that because it could integrate it. Not only your computer integrates, now you can deploy images. You really don't have to be on site anywhere at any time. You can receive a box and an image automatically is deployed to that system, right? We're to the point where streamlining systems is the way to go. You will
So
not get that from Amazon. You're going to get that from an established company that knows how to how to deploy devices.
So
got it.
don't
I
buy a
mean,
device and give it to your IT person to configure then.
and
Sounds
I
like
mean,
the
15
Can't go
years ago,
wrong.
it wasn't
yeah.
too hard to configure a device because there weren't that many options for the layman, right? Now it gives me a headache just thinking about, oh crap, I have to get a new device, which means I got to do like 50 different bloody things and not just buying the damn device, Like, wait, does this mean that now that I have the Windows and I have 365, does that mean I still need Microsoft Office? Because there's so many permutations and combinations that I'm just like, I don't even know what I'm buying
Right.
anymore.
Well,
This is just ridiculous.
there's a learning curve with the whole entire environment that they want to, all right, it all depends. If you're selling for consumers, oh, sure, you bought a license, whatever, you have your home computer,
Yep.
Microsoft Home Edition, and it'll play
Yep.
friendly. But once you bring that to the pro realm where we're talking about business, well, then that's when you start having problems because you might be missing features or you can't deploy certain things that you would be able to easily deploy on a system that's rated for that type of service, right?
Okay. All right. So I mean, Believe it or not, look, it's already almost a quarter after two. So if anybody's got any simple IT questions, because this stuff we can go into the weeds on
It's
anything
complicated.
very quickly, as everybody has known for quite
I,
some time. If you've got specific questions, please. I know Ray's
I was
gonna
gonna
send
say,
out a follow-up email
yeah.
with all of Ric's information. You can contact Ric directly or Ray or myself, and we can make sure it gets to the right people. But while we wait to see if anybody's got any questions. Is
I
there
have one
anything?
more question for Rick. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
It sounded like you
Well, then,
had.
no. Go ahead, Ray.
I was
Go
gonna
ahead,
say,
Ray.
Rick, I know we spoke on this. There was you said that recently you dealt with some incident responses. I was curious if you could share those scenarios, and I guess how it was managed and how you know managed those
So
incidents and or
it,
provided any specific training.
in our office, everything is training all the
Right.
time. So the thing with this is catching the incident before it becomes into a bigger problem, right? And I think that's where a lot of people fail. They fail to see that that there is an issue until it's something that's out of control, right? And
Sure.
and I think I ran into one of those issues recently where it turned into something terrible really quickly. But, we already had a game plan. We came in, we were able to recover. Thankfully, it wasn't anything that compromised anybody's data, right? But we had a system go down in this case. But that system handles a lot of information. And anytime something goes down, people are losing money. So
Yeah.
that's the kind of incident response. A lot of the incident response that we do.
The key
Every,
device.
yeah, exactly. Something goes. Unfortunately, sometimes they go down at the worst time, right?
Yep.
And then it's a scramble. But as long as you have your game plan and you're ready to go, we learn from it. We got together after. We talked about how we can make it better, how we can be more aware, and pretty much that's the way it should be done for most offices. You got to have a game plan. Got to be able to
Yeah.
identify the problem and run with it.
I liked your point you made earlier, obviously regularly updating your policies and reviewing these incidents that occur and essentially taking those incidents and creating a scenario so that doesn't happen to your practice. And
Absolutely. I mean, I don't, we all learn from others
oh yeah,
and what better way
It's
to
cheaper
not
that
want
way.
to, absolutely. And not only cheaper, just the whole hassle, the whole headache of having to deal with it.
absolutely.
Absolutely. So the question I was going to ask, is there anything new that you find super exciting happening right now in that realm of IT, compliance, security, anything that you're like, "Oh, I'm completely
Absolutely.
geeking out about this."
AI, automation, threat management, all these tools out there that are AI based. I
That
mean,
now, all right. I'm going to push a button
Uh-oh,
because here's my AI hot take.
you tickled
yeah,
I
Jose.
believe that AI 1.0, which is I believe what we're at,
right.
is completely a situation of garbage in, garbage out. The AI is only going to come up with the response that it can pull data from. And right now it's like Wikipedia in 2002, where it's just all kinds of
What
crap is in there.
I learned something very interesting about AI recently, because well, it's there. You got it. You want to stay on top.
Yeah.
And it's the way you prompt it. If you ask it a dumb question, you're gonna get a dumb answer. But if you
Yeah.
ask an
Yeah.
intelligent, coordinated question with the proper prompts, in fact, if you wanted to go out and get AI prompts, go on YouTube, go online, you'll find tons of them. There's people writing scripts, books on how
Yeah.
to communicate with this AI. So I think that might be key. Um, I
But
think
in the
a lot
how
of
long
it's
does
going
it
back
take someone to
1 year.
learn? Say what?
Recently, I've been using AI that goes back that's updated to about a year ago.
Okay.
It would be the most recent, right?
Okay.
The information that it gets, that's the freshest. But what I also think is cool is that you and I can have our own AI and we can train it, and we can, and the possibility is limitless with that,
So
especially in
and
the
that's
medical
I
field.
Yeah, so there and so everybody's talking about AI, and I'm one of those people that I'm like, this for me is like Wikipedia in 2002. A lot of
Yeah,
people have their hands in the cookie jar. It's not very accurate. It's gonna
right.
take me longer to suss through what is real and what is not, rather than me just
Absolutely.
doing the bloody job.
Yes,
And it
but I
maybe
think
in 5 years, this is a different conversation, and we've reached that delta where it crosses into no, now it's a time saver. But right now, I feel like I'm mining Bitcoin. Like in
well,
2007, 2008. I'm just I don't even I gotta set up everything properly. It's gonna take me a month and a half to mine this damn thing, and hopefully in 15 years it'll be worth something. If not, I just mine the wrong thing, you
well,
know?
I think it's going to go down to public and private because right now you're looking at public AI,
Yeah.
right? These
Mhm.
are models that are all shared. It's all shared information. It's going into
Yeah,
let's just call it a dump, right? Because if you're
yeah,
getting garbage out of it, then it's just everybody's just throwing whatever they want at it. But in cases where AI is developed at the private level, right? Let's say we're doing something with you guys where we're building a compliance tool, let's just say, right? And
yeah.
we train the AI to be able to respond faster or maybe trigger some event or some alert. It's possibilities are endless, and I think it's amazing, especially when you team
So
up with like robotics. I
yeah.
mean, wow, it's
So
insane.
I am 100% the AI works great for certain things. Like I know of a law firm that's rather large and they basically use it as their legal library. It's their
Yeah,
Google legal library and they just go in and say, "Hey, are there any compliance issues with this in regards to state law, federal
yeah,
law, OSHA?" They just pick an alphabet agency and it'll just do it, dissect it 30 seconds. So if a lawyer friend of mine got ambushed in court and she had 5 minutes to figure out, hey, what are the issues with this thing? So luckily they'd been working on it and she was able to go through this 45-page document in 30 seconds thanks to AI. And then she just had
yes,
to legalese it into a paper and say, hey, no, these are the issues and these are the issues that we have. So I absolutely, it's not that I'm a complete rube caveman. It's that for for certain things, 100%.
I was gonna
Yes,
say
let's
that
let's use it.
Jose,
I'm not
Jose,
even opposed to if a provider has the time implementing AI to confirm diagnoses,
right. That'd
going
be
in and
interesting.
saying, "Hey, these are the symptoms. What could be the diagnosis?" But again, the AI from the study I read at Kaiser Permanente that they did a year ago that they released it, the AI had the same problem as the human provider. We were only able to be as accurate as the data the patient gave us.
There you go. That's
You know what
that's
I mean?
true.
So and
Yeah.
so it goes back to a garbage in, garbage out. Does the AI catch little things that the patient may be not saying when they're talking to us, as they're interacting with
I think
us?
when you incorporate when it comes to incorporating sensors, right? Because we're just
Yep.
talking about data information, maybe something that's written, but once it starts, let's say, and it has X-rays, you have information about X-rays or
Remote
sensors,
monitoring or anything
EKG,
well,
like
you can
that.
upload
yeah,
images to
and,
them
and use
now, you
and
know.
use it
Yeah.
and use that combination of all that, then I think you got a better tool. Right now, it's like you're saying, it's 1.0. It's got a long ways to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. So I
that's
mean,
kind
I'm
of
I'm pretty excited about where it's gonna go, but I know that like you see,
It's
like I could see the shine in your eye a little bit there when you mentioned AI, and I'm like, here I am
it's
gonna go
got me
piss on his parade right now and say like, hey, I'm a
it's got me thinking getting to that point where it can like read X because you can there's AI tools now you can upload an image and hey draw this
So
or
radiologists have been freaking out about AI for the
yep,
last 3 years because
that's
they
exactly
know
what I
that
was thinking about. A
they're the first
radiologist.
ones. If any provider is going to get replaced, it'll be them first because they're
right.
just looking at a picture. Sadly,
It's funny because
um,
one of my friends is an interventional radiologist resident. So
no, no, no.
that
Interventional is different.
is different.
Interventional is
It is
different.
it is different.
If
It is
I'm
different.
just a radiologist, where my job is to just read CAT scans, MRIs, X-rays, Yeah,
right?
you
You're out
may
of a
need to learn
job.
how to code. But if but if you're like a PT, if you're an interventional radiologist where you're still doing stuff with your hands, it just may take the time wasting aspect of it out. I wish it would do the other time wasting aspect of paperwork. That's a whole nother bag of tricks for another day.
Right.
Get rid of that paperwork and we'll be doing a lot better. But yeah, so let's see. Did you see any questions, Ray?
Yeah, anybody that wants
Anybody that
or wants to share any points or you have any questions regarding today's presentation, or just anything in general that you want to share, maybe something that's going on at your practice, please feel free to take the next minute or so to place those in chat, and we'll answer them as they come in.
I do have one more in regards to devices though, Rick. So
Yes, sir.
back in the day, many moons ago, we used to go and say, hey, if I can get a desktop, I'm just getting the computer itself because the screens last forever. And the computer is still cheaper than the laptop. Have we reached that delta where the portable devices for commercial use are cheap enough and warrant replacing the desktop concept entirely? Or are we still at the no, we keep the desktop because they can get upgraded?
That's a good question. I think the limitation of the laptop is there's always going to have a limitation, especially when you're adding not really the peripherals. I mean, you got USB 3, there's a lot of fast
Yeah,
interfaces to connect. But if
yeah,
we're talking you're right. If we're talking a good laptop, X1 Carbon, let's say, for example, for $4,000, $5,000 per device, right? I find that a little bit expensive, right? I wish I had one, but I don't.
yeah,
Um, and so I don't think the desktop is going to go anywhere anytime soon. I mean, again, it all depends the type of work because not
yeah,
everybody's going to need that type of maybe resourcing, especially when we're
yeah,
talking about EHR and stuff like that. That's all web-based. So as long as you
yep,
have enough processing power, enough memory, and you guys might be on SharePoint. Who knows? You're
yeah,
not depending on saving anything to a server. So that really does keep costs down. But in terms of really good mobile devices, yeah, you're gonna spend good. Look, you already pay $1,500 for a phone, right?
yeah,
So four
yeah,
thousand dollars for a guy who's maybe, let's say, an engineer, he's using CAD, he needs the resources. That's nothing. I mean, he's gonna get his money on. He's gonna get his return on investment, right?
yeah.
That's how I see it in a lot of cases. So $4,000 piece of equipment is not the same for, somebody who's maybe working at the reception desk, right?
Yeah,
Just
that's
to
where
be
I'm
fair.
looking. Where most of the office manager, actually, anybody not an office manager, arguably doesn't even need Microsoft Office nowadays because you're not using Excel, you're not using PowerPoint, you're not using maybe Word if you're printing out a letter, but Adobe and all these other
Yeah,
PDF
the,
fillable
the
forms and all
signing
that.
software is king right
Yeah,
now. Anything DocuSign, Adobe Sign, all those. I mean, they manage your stuff. They hold it for you too,
yeah.
which is kind of cool. I still use spreadsheets though. I mean, I
Yeah,
still
oh
use
no, no,
Excel,
I'm
still use
still using
Microsoft.
Excel as
Um,
to run my business. Absolutely, and that's why administrators, yes, they still need Microsoft Office. But I'm just looking at it like, okay, what would be the kind of device if I was to be not bleeding edge, but looking forwards? I want to spend a decent amount. I want to outfit my whole office just to prep for this new Windows rollout. What would we be looking at? In a 10 device office, the provider works hybrid, remote and in the office because all the providers are doing that now they can. Like
right.
what are you looking
With
at a budget or
license
something like
with
that?
licensing, I mean, you're talking about management and licensing from a provider like let's say us.
Yeah.
It could go, you could go anywhere for 10. Let's say, let's give you an
Yeah,
example.
yeah, yeah.
10, you got 10 users and you got 10 licenses. I think that normal is about $2,000 a month for a service like that. That's normal. That would include something like your help desk support, helping you with all your devices, your network, managing your licenses, keeping track of all your equipment, who works for you, who offboarding, onboard. It's a full service. That's
Got it.
about average. You're talking anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 for an office with 10 users. That's base.
Got it. And then
But it's
if we were to go and say, hey, I'm gonna re-outfit my whole office, 10 devices, you think a budget for something like that, 10K? Is that what you're
It could be
for
done. It's
devices?
all going to come down to the type of solution, and really it's going to be that initial meeting. Hey, listen, this is
Yeah,
what my people do. This is what I need. Can you work with this? And
yeah.
then sure, we'll go out there and we'll find a solution for you. We're not locked into one specific device. No, we're
No,
willing
no,
to
no,
work
no.
with you. The thing is that it's something that we can support and something we can help you with. We don't like I said, again, you go out and buy 10 laptops from Walmart, and I'm going to be like, well, you bought them at Walmart. You might want to. It
Rick,
sounds wrong,
Might want to
but
return
yeah,
them.
two
you might
months
want
ago, I ran into a
to.
provider that's still running a computer that has Windows XP.
Well, and if it's online, he's the liability.
Oh, dude, the amount of just
How does he
you're
make stuff
on
run on
what?
it?
Huh? I don't. No one knows. His office manager doesn't
Wow,
know. All scripts was barely running, but it's
wow.
his computer. He didn't want to change it. It's been on that, and I'm just like, how does anything
Sounds like a
run?
liability.
Right, right, right.
I
How
mean,
does
I don't
anything
know how
load?
it runs.
I've seen that. Even to support it, like uh, we, c- I've been
There's
there
no
before.
supporting that.
I work with manufacturing plants, and a lot of them will have these uh, these industrial machines that have ancient PCs in them, and sometimes their support side is all the way overseas, and the
Yep.
problem is trying to get people into these systems. It's horrible.
I
Uh-huh.
mean,
Um,
I know imaging companies that are like, hey, I bought this MRI machine 7 or 8 years ago. It's running the same device. Nobody can touch this device because if this device goes down, my imaging equipment goes down.
yes,
And you don't
yes,
want
I've
to know
seen
how
that
much
case
I'm
too.
revenuing every month, but it's not enough to where it's worth
Changing the
flipping the
system.
whole thing over because it's not just the computer, then it's also the device that it's connected to. You know that
Uh,
that and
It's
that's
probably the
hundreds of
most
thousands of
expensive part
dollars.
to it.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
there comes a point where again you have to be firm with the client and say, hey,
yep,
listen, this is not the right route. This
yep,
could both cost us, and sometimes it's better to walk out of a deal like that. I'm be honest with
yes,
you. It's
yes,
it's it's not worth it. It's not worth hanging in there to have a bigger problem later. We're there to help people, not to, this. I don't. I've already had. I've been through this a lot. So
yeah,
no, I don't. You live and learn.
yeah,
You want to help
absolutely.
everybody as much as you can and try the most, but the best ways to go is to stay on that cycle. Every 5 years, new equipment. And I get people who don't like that, but I'm like, hey, listen, this is for this is for you. It's not for me. It's gonna help me
Yeah,
support you better.
yeah. Well, Rick, I
Makes
mean,
sense.
it's 2:30. It's about
Yes.
that time. I didn't see any questions right now. We must be doing a bang up job on this. So, if we've got any questions, I know Ray just put it in the chat, and when it goes onto our YouTube channel, Ray's gonna also probably put that
Yeah,
in the header and the information.
as always, we'll get the video up on YouTube. More than likely it'll be up tomorrow. Chop it up to work on chopping it up today. And yes, everybody that attended or was on the registration, they will receive an email with the recording and Rick's contact information as well. Rick, I shared your LinkedIn in the
Thank
chat
you. I
as
appreciate
well.
that.
I shared your website at the beginning, but we'll make sure that the attendees receive that as well, and then that correspondence that'll go out tomorrow.
Cool. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, likewise. I can see us maybe going another episode here down later down the
Yeah,
road.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Why not? IT's
absolutely.
it's a good subject because, like I said, there's a lot of practices that we deal with that they're either using the friend of a friend or or there's just a complete disconnect, and that just means
Yeah.
that they're not
Yeah.
and which I see, that's I would say that's the main thing. There's just a huge disconnect. They think that their IT is doing what they need to do, but they're really not, or vice versa, So creating that
Perfect.
awareness, I think, is the importance.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%.
So
Perfect. Perfect. So then we will definitely be following up with you soon. And if you've got any topics that you want to bring up, Rick, we're more than welcome.
Absolutely.
Just ping
Thank you,
Ray or
man.
myself and
I
we'll
had a
jump
great
back on.
time. I had an
Yeah, see,
awesome
I told
time.
you an hour was going to go
easy
by like
peasy. I
this.
know it doesn't even feel like it feels like it's been 30 minutes. Dude.
It's such a broad subject. There's just so many. I mean, I could tell you guys like technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like it. I like it just enough when I understand it. When I
We
when I
kind of have
think
to
I
like it in
understand
here,
it and
don't
I'm
we,
completely
Jose?
wrong, though, I get a little frustrated. But
Oh
I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like
No, don't we
that's a
all?
lot of our people.
Yeah, that's
So
even us. I mean, we're
Yeah.
not, that's even us. I mean, things go
Human,
wrong, and it's like,
human
what?
nature.
What do you do? Yeah, it's how you deal with it. But that comes with time, right?
Yeah,
Yep,
absolutely.
absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect,
Great.
guys. Well, then we'll catch up later. Everybody that's seeing this, thanks for coming on with us, and we'll hopefully see you guys next week. Ray, what
Yep.
do we have on next week?
Next week, we're going to go back to an OSHA topic, workplace safety. So that'll be a good one.
Ooh. So
That'll
going
be
from workplace safety on the IT realm to workplace safety in the
workplace
real
safety
world,
on the real, yep.
or the IRL,
A
as
good,
kids say nowadays, right?
good dovetail. Good dovetail. So
Perfect, perfect. Well, then, thanks, guys, and we'll catch each other next week.
sounds
Sure.
good. Thanks, Jose.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Rick. We'll see you.
My pleasure, guys.
Bye.
Sunshine.